How do we overcome the iron curtain of deception?
Hi, this is Tim Moore of Lamb Lion Ministries coming to you from Fulton, Missouri. Fulton named itself after Robert Fulton, the inventor of the steam engine, who came from this part of Missouri. And Fulton's very proud of that heritage because obviously Robert Fulton and his steam engine helped launch the Industrial Revolution. But there's another significant historic event that happened right here on the campus of this college. You see, this is WESTMINSTER College in Fulton, Missouri. And in 1946, at the invitation of President Harry Truman, Winston Churchill came here to deliver a speech that he entitled Sinews of Peace. It was his intention to draw the United States and Great Britain into an ever-increasing relationship, tying them together to offset the growth of the Soviet Union. As Winston Churchill documented, the Soviet Union was gobbling up whole swaths of Eastern Europe. And as he described very famously, an iron curtain was descending over Eastern Europe, separating its peoples from freedoms and liberties that too often we take for granted. Winston Churchill recognized the threat that Stalin and the Soviet Union posed. And so he wanted the West, namely the United States and Great Britain, to provide a great counterbalance to that expansionist ideology of the Soviet Union with its socialist and communist principles. Well, the United States and Great Britain did follow policies that followed that mindset. As a matter of fact, his phrase, the Iron Curtain, became descriptive of the separation between the East and the West. And we entered into what was known as the Cold War for the next 40 plus years. As a matter of fact, when I entered the military, we were still in the midst of the Cold War, with the Soviet Union and all of its satellite states still our great and primary adversary, at least as we expected. How much has changed? And yet, so much has just gotten worse in our world. You know, the other reality is, being here again at WESTMINSTER College, you realize that there's another revolution underway today. Not an industrial revolution, not, as I learned as a young military cadet, a revolution in military affairs, but a social, a moral, and a spiritual revolution. And too often, it's being propagated by the ideologies that are pushed throughout academia. Now, I'm not singling out WESTMINSTER College, I'm just saying that throughout colleges and universities here in America and all over the West, ideologies of progressivism and anti-Americanism, anti-Christianity are being propagated. As a matter of fact, many colleges and universities don't even believe in truth anymore, let alone seeking truth, as Harvard once said it would do. Indeed, many colleges now promote critical theory, and not just critical race theory as it relates to law, to our own Constitution, as it relates to Scripture, declaring that Scripture is not God-inspired but needs to be deconstructed to figure out its meaning for each reader, and of course, yes, critical theory as it regards race and all sorts of other social constructs. And what many in academia and really the progressive left wants to do is tear down the very structures of our society. They're successful in large part, even as I stand here today. And so for everyone watching this video, I would urge you to be intentional about pouring into your grandchildren, children and grandchildren, an understanding of the ideology that comes from Scripture and that our nation was founded upon, the Judeo-Christian values of truth as understandable and as revealed by God, of the dignity of man given to him because he is created in God's image, and of respect, not just for one another, but for the true and living God. All of the other structure of our society is built upon those foundations. And when we destroy the foundation, the rest of the structure will topple. You know, I'm standing in front of a church that was reconstructed here on the campus of WESTMINSTER College, originally built by Christopher Wren, or at least remodeled by him in the 17th century. It was damaged by Nazi bombing during World War II, but as a tribute, even to Mr. Churchill coming here, the college resurrected, brought all the stones, all the structure here, and rebuilt this church here on its campus. It is indeed a beautiful church, but the church sometimes today is void of worshipers. You know, will we continue to uphold the values that once made America great, made the West great, not in our own power, but because we stood on the truth as revealed in Scripture, and because we honored the true and living God. Only He really is great. Folks, I encourage you to recognize that we don't have an iron curtain descending anymore. We have a curtain of deception rising all around us. And unless we push back, unless we stand on truth and proclaim what truth is, that curtain of deception will envelop our grandchildren, our children, and yes, even us. I would encourage you to study what happened here at Westminster College just a handful of years ago when Winston Churchill called the West to unite, to oppose a godless ideology, and recognize that even today, Christians, those who believe in the true and living God, need to unite. We need to contain the false ideology and make sure that our friends and loved ones understand what the truth is. Godspeed.